How's it going, everybody? This is Error and your captain here, and I'm bringing you a deck profile of what I took to the first anniversary event just to win this Monkey D. Luffy Gear 5th 10 drop 12k, and it has the first anniversary One Piece Winner's Hot Stamp Gold. Oh, so beautiful. Man, I gotta say, I took my I took my local scene with me to get this card, and we all took out the local players, and it was just us in the last two rounds. So they made me work for it. They made me work for it, and it was gonna be a sealed release, but they did not have any packs left. So it was a constructed deck. It was a constructed format, which was fine. We were prepared because lately all the anniversary events have all been almost constructed in where we are. So I took my Monkey D. Luffy, the leader, the character in the deck, and the winner card. I just had to. I just had to do this. So we'll get into the deck profile. I did run the Monkey D. Luffy purple leader. If you don't know what he is, and if you're a new player, this is Monkey D. Luffy, active main. Once per turn, you may add one card from the top of your life cards to your hand. It's like a Whitebeard. So instead of at the end of the turn, you can do it at the main of the turn or whenever after attacking, and just strategize when to activate his skill, when not. And if you have 0 or 3 or more Dawn cards on your field, add up to one Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So it's a great card. If you're at 4 Dawn, going second, you're actually at 5 Dawn. If you're at 3 Dawn, you're actually at 4 Dawn. And you can get some effects off just to get to your 5 Dawn turn and make sure you're further ahead than your opponent. But yeah, let's get into this deck profile. So what I took to the constructed event, and I'll tell you who I faced before we get into the deck profile. First round was Sakaduki. I'm not really afraid of that deck. Everyone out here in the West says Sakaduki is the scariest deck that ever came out in existence. But this is a fucking America. We fucking face challenges head on, and I just really thought that deck was it's okay. Not too scary. I've played it a couple times against it with this deck. It's it's a coin cost, really. If he sees what he needs to see and I see what I need to see, and we just play it perfectly, again, it could be the difference of, oh, I was 1k short. And those games are the most exciting because you both played to your perfection, and hey, it's just that one thing difference. And that's how my match went against the Sakaduki player. He was just 1k short, and I just had one more attacker to finish him off, luckily. And and then second round, second round was red purple Luffy. That deck, holy shit, that deck's a menace. Again, he was 1k short. He took the last life, and that last life was non-counter. He just needed a 1k. He had the 2k in his hand, but he did not have the 1k. And then round 3 was the Whitebeard matchup, the Rush version. Oh my god. That's when the local scene, my local scene, I started to face, and I'd never faced the Whitebeard matchup with the purple Luffy. God, he made me work for that shit. I literally forgot about the 5-drop Luffy, and I was like, oops, you know what? I'll just stick at 1 life. I'll guard everything and throw down a bunch of blockers. I'll block everything that's not unblockable, and then, you know, as much as I can, or just used all my hand resources just to defend myself. Luckily, again, he not 1k short. It's just what I thought he had in his hand was not in his hand. I thought he had one more radical beam in his hand and one more 2k. That would have almost won him the game if I went all out, if I touched all my Dawn onto my leader, because he had no blockers, 0 life. But luckily he did not have it, so it paid off. The bluff did not work. And then last round, it was Charlotte Katakuri. Charlotte Katakuri, again, it was one of my friends. He won the last event. It was a constructed, and this time, in that version of that tournament, he ran a Nell, and I lost to that one in round 2. But in this situation, in this tournament for this Monkey D. Luffy, I got my redemption. I took him out last round, but man, he made me work for it. Luckily, he was at 3 life. I had 4 attacks coming in. 4 to 5. Yeah, 4 attacks coming in, 3 life. He took everything almost, and then that last life, I had Kaido at 9-drop Rush Kaido and my leader Luffy, and I had 7 Dawn left. Enough for if his last life was a blocker, I would have dropped my poly just to take it out and then swing with Kaido for game. But luckily he did not have anything for triggers, and I won that matchup. But man, he got me sweating. I was just like hyperventilating in my head. I'm like, what if he does have it? He has 2 million volts. He has 3 of each blockers in his deck still. It could possibly be in life. The beige I wasn't worried about because I already saw 3 beiges in his drop. But he could be one lucky son of a bitch and have that last beige in his life, and I'll be like, I hate you so fucking much right now. First, it was Peoria Regionals. Now in this local scene, fuck that shit. I ain't going down like that. I was like, I ain't gonna get fucking Capone beige. I ain't gonna get fucking Sanji or Charlotte Brûlée on my ass. Fuck that. I'm redeeming the Monkey D. Luffy. And luckily I did. I took him out. He didn't have shit. So that's how it went. But enough me rambling on with my matches. But if you enjoyed that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join the crew. Comment down below what you think about this deck profile. What you think I should change. You know, what decks I should just try out. Because I'm really just trying out everything. But I will say this before we do get into the deck profile. Sheep's Horn. That tech was dog shit, not gonna lie. If you're running 3 Gum Jet Gatlins and 2 Sheep Horns, you better ramp that shit up to 4 Gum Jet Gatlins, because what are you doing? You just have 2 more dead cards in hand that I totally disagree with. Maybe he said it worked in some of his matches, but bro, no. So, the first card we have is the 10-drop 12k Monkey D. Luffy. Again, to all the new players that are just getting into the card game from the OP-05, that is their starting set. What this card does is on play, Dawn -10. Place all your characters except this character at the bottom of your deck in any order. Then take an extra turn after this. So if you have a full board, you swing with leader, drop this with 10 Dawn still active, and then you get what, 2 more attacks from your leader and your character for the last swing. Great boss monster, hands down, especially if you already have a board established. One moment, I want to see. There we go. And we'll keep that right there. I just want to see my field of view. So this is my border right here. And that's my border right there. So I have all this work area to work with. And then I run 3 9-drop Kaidos. I thought I ran 4 in the tournament, but I guess I never swap out my Magellan, my one of my 4th Magellans out for a Kaido. I was just thinking to myself, I have no room for the 4th Kaido, 9-drop Kaido. There are situations where I threw him down every tournament, no matter what. Every round, I threw down 9-drop Kaido. Luffy, I did not throw him down because I didn't see him. There are opportunities where if I had him, I would have dropped him, and that would have won me the game as well. But sadly, that situation never came up. All that ever came up was me just throwing down 5-drop bodies and trying to, replenish my hand with queens. Against the Sakazuki, worked very well. He got rid of everything else on my board, but instead of Kaido, so I made him work for it, and he was just a couple cards short just to get rid of it. And he's like, I can't do the combo that I want to do just to get rid of that card. And I was like, good, because you already got rid of everything else. Just let this guy stay. Let the former Yonko next to the real Yonko have his moment of peace on the board. And then I run 3 SS Captain Kid, or 4 SS Captain Kid, 7-drop. Some people say this card is not as amazing in this deck, but I will tell you this card's fucking amazing in this deck, because if you're in a situation where you're like, I can't play this card on this turn, the situation is you have to play that card on that turn, because now your opponent has to commit Dawn onto his attackers just to hit your body, just to hit your character. That's a 5. That's now a 6. So you're dropping this card just to force your opponent to answer it. If you want this card to stay on board against Sakaduki, you're asking too much. Once you play characters on board against Sakaduki, you're playing them because you want them to be gone. You want your opponent to answer it. That's my tip for Sakaduki. You play the cards that you have to that turn to force your opponent to answer the cards that you have on board. Like, you have to deal with this, or this card's going to become a problem for you. And that's what I did. And I'll show you what cards I made my opponent. Some people might want some tips against Sakaduki. I'll tell you. But let me get through this whole lineup of what I made my opponent do. So I do run 1 king for the tech. I like it. I was running 2 against the first time for the anniversary. It works, but at the same time, I don't see it as often as I do as much as I see Paulie. So I was like, you know what? I'll just do it 1 tech. This card's only good if you have SS Captain Kid blocker on board established, because this becomes a Paulie automatically. If you go second, you throw down SS Captain Kid, the blocker. Then turn 2, you throw down King. because you'll be at 7 Dawn. You get your Dawn back, so you don't lose anything, and then your leader just swings with an extra Dawn attached to it. And then I run 4 Magellans. This card's really great against almost every deck of the format that's currently in play or in rotation. Against Sakaduki, I do play him. I throw him down knowing it's not going to get destroyed or anything. I force my opponent to answer this card. So for future turns, like when the turns start progressing, S's Captain Kid is a lot more safe than it would be if I drop down the S's Captain Kid blocker. But yeah, I force my opponent to answer Magellans. If I go back to back to Magellan, that still minuses Dawn and it fucks up his curve. You may not think so, but it really does, because now you're preventing them one less Dawn to do stuff. And if you do it again, you just put him back another half a turn. That's almost like one full turn. He's like, damn it, I didn't get to do what I wanted to do to make sure his future board doesn't stay on board. You know what I'm saying? So I do through instead of, like, if you ever have the option to throw down the S's Captain Kid blocker, don't against Sakaduki, because that card is your fucking moneymaker. Especially I save it until I get to 10 Dawn. 10 Dawn, I throw down S's Captain Kid, and then I throw down Queen. Now he has 2 cards to answer at the same time. And I already got value off of both of them, from him getting the Dawn back, and then Queen from getting a +1. And I run 3 Polys. This card, again, this card's up in the air. I know the deck that got 3rd should have got 2nd, but you know, his points mattered. So he ran 4, and I was like, if you're going 2nd, this card's fucking amazing. Like, hands down, this card's amazing. But if you're not going 2nd, this card is just up in the air against what you play. That's why I tech in the 1 King, because if I go first, King is my best bet of destroying something on board that's a menace right off the gate, early game. So that's why I run 3. And then for the next 5-drop lineup is Queen. Queen, very great card, blocker, on play, -1 Dawn, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from my hand. It's just an amazing staple. I know in OP-06 she becomes not irrelevant. Some people say this card's gonna become irrelevant, but man, it is still fucking good. Because in that what was it, Vinso Raji deck profile that got that won an important event, ran 4. Like, this card is just a staple. Sadly, this card is not a staple. I don't think I saw it in the deck profile, but yeah, this card, you would think it's a staple, but you know, Queen is just so much better. You get that +1 draw, and it's a blocker. And then I run 4 S's Captain Kid. Blocker, it's your turn once per turn. When a Dawn is returned to the field, pretty much you get it back activated. Really great card. Same stats as Queen. So fucking cherry, bro. Fucking cherry. And he has a +1 counter. It's just like a Queen, but instead of drawing 1, you get an extra Dawn. So it helps you so fucking much. And again, even look, if you have 1 or 2 on board before you drop down your 10 drop, next turn when you refresh from the character Luffy's effect, you get 2 more extra Dawn. So Luffy's swinging for 9k, and then your 10 drop is swinging for 12, because his effect goes and gets popped off before the end of your turn. And then I run 4 X-Rakes. X-Rakes, great card, amazing card, love the card. It's 2k, 5k, 5 drop 5k, on play -1. Your opponent trashes a card from his or her hand. It's a good card. It's a great card, especially against Sakaduki. Like, if you have nothing to play for 5 drops and you want your opponent to answer something, and typically they pretty much do. They really would bottom deck this, because if it stays, it's already a live swinger if they let it live, if they don't return in the deck. And for the 4 drops, I run 4 Sphinx. It's just vanilla. 4 page 1. I do run the ulti lineup. It's just a vanilla, and then here's the sister. Ulti, 4 drop, 5k. These are starter decks. On play, -1 Dawn. You play 1 page 1 from your hand onto the field. Great card, great combo. I don't get to see it a lot, and I never got to use her effect. But once the opportunity does show up in, less meta decks, and I guess Enel, it works. I usually get this off against Enel, maybe Yellow Shot Katakuri, but against that deck, swinging when my opponent is swinging for 7k with his Katakuri leader, I just end up using them as shield value, because that 7k is just devastating. And then I run 4 Trafalgar Law. I used to have this at 2, but I just, in this meta, against Katakuri, Enel, and Sakaduki, and I guess Whitebeard and Red Purple Luffy, in those matchups, I got to use this card at every opportunity I had, even if it's just throwing it as a blocker. I do get to use his effect at least once a game. But yeah, blocker, on play, -1 Dawn. If your opponent has 7 cards in hand, your opponent trashes 2 cards from his, I get to choose 2 random cards from his hand and trash them. And I have gotten so lucky trashing the cards that they need. They're like, fuck. I'm like, damn it, you got that one great card that I needed. And I was like, thank God. And then I run 4 Zala, Miss Doublefinger. I thought this card was shit. I kind of had this like at 2, but I bumped it up to 4 because at certain matchups, if you're at 4 Dawn, if you go first, you really want to drop this down. You might have the chance for Law, but at whatever matchup you're going against, you really want to drop this down, especially against Sakaduki, because this one becomes an active attacker, and most likely they won't bottom deck it. They'll just leave it alone. And I'm like, perfect. I get to do what I want to do next turn. And then I run 4 Gum Gum Jet Gallant. Great card, especially with all the cards that are non-counter. We have like 4, 8, 12, 16 on counters. So it knocks it down to, what, 12 non-counters in deck. And it's just so good. So good. I don't know what that guy was thinking running 3, but 4 is what you need, because all the non-counters that you run is just I guess he had less non-counters in his deck, but at the same time, Gent Gatlin is just way too good. Especially since you use up all your Dawn and don't leave any active. Maybe one, just, you know, throw it off your opponent. But yeah. Other than that, this is the deck profile that won me. The Monkey D. Luffy. Hot stamped winner first anniversary card. And I gotta say, oh, it paid off. This deck was just, oh my god. Just fucking beautiful. Every opponent I played just played perfectly. They were just 1K short, and most likely I almost lost to myself because I was like, if they have what I think they have, I lose. But luckily they never did, so I just went for game, making sure I'm like, hey, if they have it, they have it. I just lose here. And luckily they didn't have it, so I became King of the Pirates for that event. But anyway, if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed this deck profile, consider hitting that subscribe button, joining my crew. Comment down below what you think of the deck profile, what you would change. Would you add a 4th poly, or would you tech in Blast Breath or whatever? Let me know in the comment sections below. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Get my berries up. And other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next One Piece video. Hopefully, everyone finds the One Piece.